We're live on the
Welcome.
internet.
What?
We're live on the internet, Waleed.
Oh, we're live on the internet. Sorry, you confused me when I was going to welcome everyone to Gambletown, to the People's Republic of Gambletown, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, because, excuse me, our commissar, I'm going to let him take over because this is his show. This is his reign. He is killing it right now on his weekly bets. Let's go.
Sorry, what's the point of the game if you can't throw a little propaganda in? Let's recap where we've been. Last week sucked. We got thrown off by some injuries. No excuse. Time to get back on the saddle.
That's right.
Um,
We are the most dangerous you can be. We are due.
yes. So we are. Last week we went 4-11, but we have a full complement of shit to do this week in week 8. So we're ready to lock in. We'll get going. Totals on the season. Ryan still top 5 bets of the week master, 24-16. I'm 17-23. Waleed's 15-25. Waleed is still the parlay king at 5-11. Ryan 4-12. I am 1-15. Not great, Bob. Um, I'm the only one that won my millionaire bet because Nick Chubb scoring a touchdown was just going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now that we've kind of recapped, let's talk because we have every team in the league is playing this week, my friends.
Which
We
is
have
so weird. I hate that they do all these bye weeks and then like there's middle of the weeks where no teams on bye. It's like, well, why? Let's get these bye weeks over with. Let's not extend them out.
correct. All right, so let's hop in. We got 15 games to cover, and we're gonna start with Philly going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati home favorites. You can get them at -136 on Profit X. Philadelphia for a road upset +130 on FanDuel. The line, like the spread, is 2.5, and the line is 47.5. Ryan, start us off.
I don't have any top five bets in this game, but I do like AJ Brown and I do like Jamar Chase. I feel like this could be a high scoring game. I think Chase's line was at 75 and a half and AJ's was at 77 and a half. This is all from FanDuel.
What?
Um, this was yesterday too. I don't know if it's changed from yesterday.
I got AJ at
Uh,
73.5.
really?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anything with AJ and Chase, I really like Burrow this week too. I think Cincinnati. I'm taking. Actually, I do have in my money line parlay. I'm taking Cincinnati to win. But other than that, I'll let you guys
Okay.
talk some more.
Waleed, what do you got?
This I'm not betting anything in this slate of games except for the bets you guys are making, which I will tail as I always do.
All right. Well, I guess it's might as well get started. I am on week 4 of my millionaire streak. So I'm going to be rolling my $62.10 into a -117 bet on AJ Brown's receiving over at 73.5.
Okay.
AJ Brown has had 89 yards or more in every game this season. He is in per game per total points. He's wide receiver 1, guys.
And
Um,
Tony, these bets were on DraftKings.
I did on Caesars.
Okay, because I was gonna say the lines I mentioned earlier about Chase and Brown on FanDuel are still, like I said, 77 and 75.
Okay. So the Bengals are in cover 3 on 36% of their snaps. He averages over 3.2 yards per route run and 0.33 targets per route run. The Bengals are allowing the 10th most receiving yards per game to outside receivers, which is where AJ Brown lives. Um, so AJ Brown and Devonta Smith have run 85 routes together this year. AJ Brown in those routes has a 37% target share, whereas Smith's is only at 20. And yeah, so there's a much tougher matchup on the inside for Cincinnati or on Cincinnati. So I think this is another AJB smash spot. I think he's getting slept on. We just watched the Cincinnati defense make Cedric Tillman look interesting. So I'm going to continue to ride with AJ Brown because I think it's still a mispriced line.
It is.
I also, in the Degenerates Gambit, which I write for Football Absurdity, which was 4-0 last week, unlike Ryan, I took the Philly money line.
Wow.
Yep. So, all right, let's move on. Let's go to our next game. We are going to go from Cincy to Miami, where Miami is hosting Arizona. Miami heavy favorites. You can get them at minus 196. And Arizona upsets plus 182 on the money line. The spread is 4, and the over under is 46 and a half for the total. Waleed, what do you got?
All right, so this game has one of my top 5 bets of the week,
Of
and
the
that
week.
is Tyreek Hill at 82 and a half yards on FanDuel. I just the fact is Miami has been awful, but Miami is always awful when Tua Tagovailoa is injured. When
Yes.
he is healthy, they are a completely different team, and Arizona's pass defense is terrible. Arizona's given up 8.28 yards to quarterbacks. So the two overline I was looking at, but I'm only going to bet one thing here, and it's going to be the Reek over at 82 and a half, because 82 and a half yards for Tyreek on FanDuel at minus 113. That's the best line I can find. And, like, let's see. Arizona out wide on the season is giving up over 9 yards. Well, just to receivers overall, they're giving up 9.12 yards per target. To receivers lined out wide, which is where Reek is a lot of the time, that's 9.4 yards per target. Over the last 4 weeks, though, 9.8 yards per target to wide receivers lined out wide. So basically, they're going to give up big plays, and there is no bigger play receiver in football than Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
So I'm taking that over, and I'm feeling pretty damn good about it.
Okay. Ryan?
I don't have any top 5 bets from this game, but I am intrigued at the A Chain rushing over on FanDuel. It is at 54 and a half, and even the Mostert is at 36 and a half. I might take a look at those because Arizona does give up the most points to running backs, and I'm not sure how they're planning. If they're just gonna let, I don't think they're gonna let Tua just ball out right away coming off of this concussion. They might be a little bit more conservative with him and try and see what they can get done on the run game maybe in the first half. I'm gonna take a look at those rushing overs, but other than that, I don't have anything in this game.
Okay.
What's interesting is actually I want to point out the receiving over for Achan at 30 and a half, I think, is kind of interesting. I feel like
Okay.
that's going to go back to form a little bit more. Arizona, over the last 4 weeks, is giving up 9.1 yards to receivers in the backfield. And I think that, like, Achan has been still getting those targets. So I could see that being a solid line to, like, pursue.
I want no part of Achan receiving
Yeah,
lines, but to each their own, baby.
I get it, and frankly, I think I've kind of started to fall in with you, and I was there last year. I always, for a couple of weeks, go back to running back receiving lines, and I never end up feeling good about it. But I think he could be a sneaky play in DFS, uh, just because he's been bad. I think because Tua hasn't been there, but when Tua was there, he was one of the 5 best running backs in football. So his price could be like vastly misconstrued.
It is.
Sure.
Um, Achan is one of my anchors this week in DFS because he's cheap. I have a bunch of Dolphins super stacks. Um,
Love it.
my same game parlay of the week is in this game. I took an adjusted line. I did the your way on FanDuel. So I got Tua at 240 or more, Tyreek at 65 or more, and the Miami money line, which got me to plus 199.
Ooh, I like it.
So I need to start stacking dubs, guys. So I'm
Yep.
letting it ride. Tua's an interesting play. If on FanDuel he is priced at quarterback 23,
Okay.
Yeah. And
This
and
could.
that's way too low.
Okay.
the so I wanted to bring up a Devon Achan thing, but it's going to be centered on DraftKings scoring. Um,
Okay.
in games where he's gotten 10 or more carries with a healthy Tua under center, he averages 26.8 fantasy points per game.
Good God.
Damn.
That's
Yeah.
week winning stuff, right?
Yeah, it is.
True.
Especially considering where he's being priced right now.
So he's one of the 3 or 4 running backs that I'm going to be hammering in all my DFS. I told Josh off air before you guys got on. This week for me is actually a really big DFS investment week. I
Okay.
think I've already got $100+ invested in DFS this week,
That's
which is
kind
rare
that's
for me.
kind of
Oh
where
wow.
that's what I'm feeling too. I'm more interested in DFS than like straight like single outcome bets.
Yeah. So
And there's also a cheat code for this week on DFS, on at least on FanDuel. I
yeah.
don't know if we've shared this with Waleed or Josh yet, but
When we get to that point, like I don't know if it's something from this game, but I'm very curious
no,
about it
it's not
when we
from
get
it's
there.
not from this game.
Okay,
Josh, these
well,
visuals you got on the broadcast are killer, by the way. Love him. So all right, let's move on.
I will say one little fact. This game could be closer than we think. Maybe decided by a field goal. Kyler Murray is like 18-7-1 against the spread as a road underdog.
mhm.
But I think this Miami team might be back. We'll see.
One of my degenerates gambit bets this week is Miami to cover 3.5.
Okay,
So
it's at 4.5 on FanDuel right now.
damn, it went up a whole point. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Even
Interesting.
better.
All right, so let's move on. We have the Jets going to the Patriots. Jets are road favorites. You can get them for minus 325 straight up at DraftKings. Patriots home upset plus 301 on Profit X. The spread is an even 7, and the line is 41 and a half. Waleed, what do you got?
So in this game, there's only one thing that kind of catches my eye, and that is Hunter Henry, his receiving over. Like there's some good matchup things here for the Jets against New England, but I don't know. The Jets feel like they just feel like they're all fucked up, and I don't trust them, so I don't want to bet on them because I don't know what they're gonna do. But what I do think is the Jets over the last 4 weeks are giving up 9.5 yards per target to inline routes to tight ends, and Hunter Henry at 34.5 on BetMGM is a really good line considering. I told Tony this a couple days ago. I made a point of watching Drake May's like all of Drake May snaps the last 2 weeks. Drake May fucks. He's a good quarterback. And this is a good matchup for him. And he seems to like Hunter Henry. And now that I know that Hunter Henry has a good quarterback and might be one of the two top primary targets, I think that line is really low. So
Sure.
I'm going to absolutely hammer it. This was very close to being one of my top 5 bets of the week.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to. Well, Ryan, go first.
Uh, guys, I like anything with Brees Hall in this game. I am might be hesitant to bet the rushing over because statistically, if you look back at the stats, he hasn't had too many games where he's gotten that 72 or 73 yards, which is at his rushing over right now. So I might go in and look at the adjusted um, line with rushing and receiving. I believe is at like 107 or 109 yards. I mean, he had over 100 yards receiving last week. But one of my top 5 bets of the week this week is for a Brees Hall touchdown. I think that's an easy hit for this game. Um, although and this game could be close, which could be evident for even Brees Hall multiple touchdown game. But I think it's safer to just take the one touchdown. Drake May is showing that he's pretty decent in this offense. So this game could be closer than we think. I know the Jets blew him out week 3. What was it, like 27-3 or
Something
something
crazy.
like that?
Yeah, it was awful.
But that was a different team. Now that they've got Drake
Quarterback.
Mace, right? Now that they've got Drake Mace starting, this game could be closer. But yeah, Brees Hall touchdown. That's what I
Okay.
got.
So
Um,
I want to actually piggyback on the Brees Hall thing because there's certain things that I think are worth noting. Last year, if you noticed, once they fired Salah and changed the offensive coordinator, Brees Hall's usage went up significantly. Braylon Allen didn't get a lot of looks, and you saw him. What did he have here? 103 receiving yards, 38. I want to point out too in this matchup, the New England, both rushing and receiving to running backs over the last 4 weeks are giving up like top 5 production to the position per attempt per target. So Brees
Yeah,
Hall is actually a really, I think the rushing plus receiving line is actually a really smart bet.
okay. So I have some Brees Hall stuff I'd like to share with the group. Um, what Wally kind of hinted at. Um, since Downing took over, Brees Hall is running 84% of the team's offensive snaps. That's second among all running backs. He is first in percentage of teams carries at 83%. He is first among all running backs in route share at 67%. I'm hesitant on the pass catching stuff because I think that now that he's the third option, it's less likely to hit. But I will
Yeah.
tell you this. Um, the Jets are currently touchdown favorites. Since the start of 2022, Brees Hall has the third most fantasy points per snap while his team leads.
Ooh.
In wins, Brees Hall averages 85 rushing yards a game and 22.6 fantasy points per game.
Nice.
When the Jets lose, he averages 36.2 rushing yards per game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you believe in the Jets, go with it. I love the Achan Brees Hall stack in DFS for running backs because neither of them are the top.
Yeah.
Sure.
Um, and if you pay, you know, 15-25% of your overall roster bonus or budget and you get 50 points out of it, you're walking on sunshine, baby.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I think Pop Douglas, his receptions line was 3.5. I don't mind it. I'm not gonna bet it. I'm not gonna bet it, but it's not one of my top 5 bets of the week. But I don't mind it. I don't mind Drake May's rushing, but it's nothing that I'm gonna hang serious money on. All right.
Okay.
So let's go Atlanta to Tampa Bay. Fuck you, Todd Bowles. Atlanta road favorites minus 138 on the money line. Tampa Bay home upsets plus 126. The line is 2.5, and the spread is 45.5. Ryan, start us off.
All right, guys. I do like Drake London this week. Um, but one of my top 5 bets of the week from this game is going to be K. Dotton's over at 45.5 on FanDuel receiving yards. Um, we all saw that Godwin and Evans are, you know, basically done for the year. Evans might be back. Godwin for sure won't be back. And as we saw when Godwin went out last week, K. Dotton had like 4 catches in a row on a drive, ended up with over 100 or exactly or a little bit over 100 yards on the game. Had 10 targets, 8 catches. Um, that 45.5 seems really low to me, so I'm going to exploit that, make that one of my top 5 bets of the week.
Okay.
Other than that, yeah, like I said, I do like London's line too, which was at, what was that at? I can't remember.
What is London's line? Oh, I can tell you that right now. When I go onto the BetStamp app, which you can see right over here, we can see that his best line
Was
is on
that,
FanDuel at
yeah,
65.5 minus
65 and a half,
113.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a big K Dot week, guys. Also, that's going to be my millionaire bet this week is a K Dot touchdown.
Do you know that the Falcons, who are like first off, when K. Dotton scores, it'll be the first touchdown to a tight end given up by the Falcons this year.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
But they have played. They're a zone defense. They play zone about 70% of the time. Against zone, K. Dotton has a 20.4% target share. You got to imagine that's only going to go up.
yeah,
Yep.
especially with no Godwin there. He's gonna. I mean, he's gonna be getting some of those looks in the slot. But I'm gonna be honest. Do you mind if I take over from here? Because
It's all you.
Jalen
Go ahead.
McMillan is the guy that I kind of find interesting here. Only because his line here is at 38.5 at minus 115 on BetMGM. I feel like that is a really low line for a guy who's going to see an expanded role in the slot. Like that's where he got a lot of his work anyway. And
Well, that's where he got
Atlanta,
all his work in college. Waleed.
I
Last
know.
week after Godwin was out, it was Sterling Shepard in the slot.
You know what? And that's why, like, I gotta say, I think that line is interesting. But I've said it before. I'm more into like playing these guys in DFS than straight bets. So I think Jalen McMillan's going to be a cheap flyer in the slot just because Tampa Bay's giving up. I'm sorry, Atlanta's giving up. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at this wrong. You know what? We're just gonna forget about that because my top 5 bet in the week is on the other side of the ball. Let's talk about Kyle Pitts. And let's talk about how bad Tampa Bay is at defending the tight end position.
Okay.
Like on the season, they're giving up 9.4 yards to per target to the tight end. Over the last 4 weeks, though, that number is shot up to 10.41. And specifically inline routes, you're looking at 10.8 yards on the season and almost 12 yards per target to inline routes over the last 4 weeks. Kyle Pitts line is only 41.5 on DraftKings. That is way too low. I like this so much that one of my parlays, I haven't constructed it yet, but I will be doing one of my patented yards, receptions, and touchdown bets for Kyle Pitts because I think Kyle Pitts he's my tight end one of the week. This matchup is really good. It's been really good over the last few weeks too. And we've seen Kyle Pitts' usage over the last month steadily increase. So I think this is a really I think his this line hasn't caught up yet, and there's a ton of value to be hammered here.
If
Um,
you if you were one of the people that held Kyle Pitts after he put up zero point zero points in week 4, the
yeah,
last 3 games he scored 15.8, 10 and 13.5 PPR points and his target share has gone up to 19%.
yeah. You know, us Kyle Pitts owners and Dynasty have been wanting to say it for a while. It's a Kyle Pitts week. I feel
I'll
good
believe it
saying
when I
it.
see it.
It only took 3 years to get there.
All right, so I got nothing in this game. Hoping for a nice Drake London move, but we'll see.
There's one other thing I kind of want to point out here, and this is going to be more of a DFS play. I think Algier and Bijan are both really good plays against the run defense of Tampa Bay. Over the last 4 weeks, the Tampa Bay Bucks are giving up almost 6 yards per
Yeah,
rushing attempt to opposing
5.4.
running backs. It's 5.92 over the last 4 weeks.
Over the last
Oh,
4.
over the 4 weeks, yeah. And the
Over the last
season's
4 weeks,
5.4, yeah.
yeah. So Bijan, I feel like is going to be a really solid play. Or if you need to go cheap on running back, I think Algier could find his way into the end zone, and you can get him at a decent price. So I think
Well,
they're both really interesting.
my big money league team is hoping that Tyler Algier can do something. That's how bad I'm at right now. All
Ooh,
right. I have nothing in this game. Let's move the hell on. We're going
okay.
Tennessee visiting Detroit. Detroit, the heaviest favorites of the week. They are they are minus 578. Tennessee's plus 504 to win. The line keeps going up. The spread keeps going up. It's now at 12. And the over under is at 44 and a half. Waleed, start us off.
The only No, I'm not doing anything in this game. There's nothing worthwhile. I'm out.
Okay. Ryan?
Detroit wins and Lions minus 11 and a half.
Wow.
Yep. The Titans are 0-4 against the spread against team with winning records this year. Um, I think this is going to be a major blowout. I don't care that Titans defense has been pretty good this year. They're going up against the number 1 team in the league, arguably. So
The one thing I want to point out about on the Titans side of the ball, if Tony Pollard had decided to stop playing at halftime of last week, he would have hit his rushing over.
Yeah.
And
But
then he lost yards in the second half, never touched the ball again,
Yep.
and we all took the L.
Yep.
that was very annoying. I don't even understand what they were doing, but
The
my,
bet was a
my
great call. He had 60 something yards in the first half. So
yeah, just my problem is more. I feel like if I bet on Mason Rudolph, like in a game where Mason Rudolph is starting, I'm fucked. At least with like Will Levis, I feel like they have to respect the fact that he has an arm and can throw downfield and will
yeah.
try to throw
Sure.
downfield.
There
Mason
is
Rudolph sucks.
there is also a milestone in this game, which I'll be intrigued to watch it because basically Amon Ra needs one catch. Amon Ra needs 11 yards to reach 4,000 yards in his first 4 seasons to be one of 2 Lions to ever do that with Calvin Johnson.
Okay.
And if you really think about it, what makes that even more impressive is that like he wasn't given the keys until late in his rookie season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last 4 weeks
yeah,
of his rookie year is when he started
right.
getting catches.
Right. So super
So
impressive. He actually has a great matchup.
Also, he was playing injured last season, which makes it even
Sure
more
was.
impressive.
The entire season.
Yeah,
Um, I don't mind David Montgomery rushing overs in this one. If you think Detroit's going to beat the shit out of them, you'd imagine that Monty's the guy they bring in to ice the game.
Yeah.
okay.
If Tennessee had any life at all, I would love to put money on Amon Ra this week because he's got such a good matchup. But I don't think
Sure.
this game is going to be something where they need to pass into the second half.
I will pass along Shane's got Gibbs for a touchdown in this game too.
I think both Lions running backs get into the end zone this week.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like
that's a
very
safe bet.
likely.
Yeah.
I
Is
feel
this
like
the
it's gonna
first
be a 2-1.
team that Detroit plays where we can't observe like the Detroit hangover effect because it's the Titans?
You know what I want, Josh? And I'm going to go ahead and scroll into next week. Tennessee. Oh, you know what? Tennessee's going to get waxed this week, and then they're going to go back home and they're going to beat New England. And Tennessee is going to be the only team to not fall to the Detroit hangover this season.
Well,
funny.
that's because they're going to be actually really well rested. Because I kind of feel like it's going to be 2-1 on offense, like just time of possession.
Yeah. All right. So let's hop in. We got Green Bay going to Jacksonville next. Green Bay heavy road favorites. You can get them at minus 198 at DraftKings. Jags home upsets plus 178 at Profit X. The spread is 4 and the total is 49 and a half. Ryan, your Jags, tell us about it.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, this week I feel like the Jags are probably going to lose. I'd be betting Green Bay in the confidence pool, which I did. Not very high points because I think this game has a chance to be close. I hope it's not a Green Bay blowout.
I think your biases are showing.
But I do have one of my top 5 bets in this game, and that's BTJ's over 57.5. Regardless of whether Jacksonville's playing from ahead, which is the unlikely scenario, they're gonna have to pass, and I think BTJ's just been balling out.
You can't stop him.
Yeah, 57 and a half
fact is,
seems low for him.
He's a top 10 receiver in football right now, and his receiving line is 57.5.
Right.
That is just mispriced.
Actually, did you see the meme of like, you know, the meme where Death is going to each different door and there's blood under each of them?
I have not.
Well, they did one where Death goes to like Derek Stingley from Houston and a trail of blood because he finished the job. And
Yeah.
then Brian Thomas Jr. as Death goes to Chicago and Jalen Johnson, and there's no blood under the door, and the door is still closed. And then the next week he goes to Christian Gonzalez and kills him too.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
Jalen
funny.
Johnson's really good, guys.
Statistically he's the best cornerback in football by like
Correct.
pretty much every metric that you
But
can look at.
and I will say this before because I have I don't think I have anything in this game. Oh no, I do have something in this game. But before I get into it, I wanted to just say that in the offseason, if you listen to the TH Fantasy podcast, one of Ryan's season-long bets was Brian Thomas Jr. over 725 receiving yards this season. He's currently at 513.
That's right. Right.
You should have taken an adjusted line at plus 1,000.
Yeah,
man.
right. Like I did with Kirk last year. Goddamn injuries. Anyways, also another way to solidify this BTJ receiving over is that the last 3 weeks, surprisingly, Trevor Lawrence is completing like almost 75% of his passes too. So I like that to go along with it.
Well,
And
so since you mentioned
Packers passing D is not that great either. So
since you mentioned that, it parlays perfectly into one of my top 5 bets of the week. As you know, my friends, it is National Tight End Week this week.
hell yeah.
So 3 of my top 5 bets of the week in honor are tight end bets. And one of my top 5 bets of the week is Evan Ingram over 4.5 receptions.
Okay. Yeah, that seems easily done.
I want to point out over the last 4 weeks, Green Bay is giving up 9.2 yards per target to the tight end, to inline route to tight ends. So I like Ingram. He was a guy I had flagged this week.
Now, I don't care much for Ingram's yardage props because he has a 4.6 yard ADOT.
Yeah.
Okay.
But since he's come back from hamstring injury, he's caught all 15 of his targets.
That's true.
He leads all tight ends with 0.31 targets per route run. For those of you that need that explained, 1/3 of every route that Evan Ingram runs, he gets the ball.
That is an insane number.
So he leads all tight ends in targets per route run. He leads the Jags in target share at 24.7. But even on the Jags, he's 4th in air yards share at 14% because his passes are so close to the line of scrimmage. The Packers are giving up the 8th most receptions and the 7th most receiving yards per game to tight ends. Evan Ingram over 4.5 receptions is one of my top 5 bets of the week.
Hell yeah.
I do like a DFS. I've been doing a couple of Dontavian Wicks, Evan Ingram run backs, little mini stacks there,
Okay.
because I think you got Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed. It could be any of their week, but Wicks has been secretly getting a lot of snaps, getting a lot of run. He's getting rotated in over Christian Watson. He's just not producing. And against a team like Jacksonville, I think you can definitely do that.
Sure.
My problem with Wicks in general though is he's getting like targets, but he's not catching balls that he should be catching, which I feel like at some point is gonna like burn him.
Yeah, but right now it means low ownership, baby.
That's exactly what you want in DFS. I think having a little bit of everyone on the Green Bay receiving core is going to be a good decision. Which brings me to my top 5 bet of the week, because I don't want to have to pick between all of the Packers receivers who might get balls. So I'm just taking the Jordan Love over at 257.5 on Bet Rivers.
Get balls.
Seriously, Jacksonville's given up 8.2 yards per pass attempts, and nobody throws the ball more than Jordan Love right now. So, and he throws it deep. Like Jacksonville's, like this is such a good matchup for Jordan Love. This is easily one of my favorite bets of the week. But I mean, I think Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks are all really like from just a pure matchup standpoint, they're all good bets because Jacksonville's pass defense is really bad. Tucker Kraft is sneakily one of my favorite plays this week, though, just because the last few weeks, man, Jacksonville against tight ends have been terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Our next game on the slate, as we truck on through this massive schedule, is going to be the Colts and Texans. Texans home favorites minus 218. Colts are plus 199 for a road win. Spread is 4.5. Totals 45.5. Waleed, what do you got?
I only got one bet in this game, but it is one of my top 5 bets of the week, and that is Stephon Diggs over 59.5 receiving yards on DraftKings. I want to point out on this season, the Indianapolis Colts are giving up 8.7 yards per target to wide receivers. Specifically, though, in the slot, which is where Diggs has by far the most routes of anyone on the Texans. They're giving up 11.1 yards per target. So I think, like, with no Nico, we've seen that Diggs is the clear guy. This pass defense is bad. This is going to be a big Diggs week.
Okay. Ryan, what do you got?
I took in my money line parlay of Houston winning. The history dictates that Indiana might win this game because they have not swept the series since 2016. Houston hasn't, but Houston's way better than Indy this year, so I'm going with Houston win. And I'm kind of hesitant to bet anything with CJ Stroud just because Indianapolis gives up so many rushing yards and attempts to the running back. I think this is just going to be a Joe Mixon week, and Stroud's just going to have to sit back and quietly get 200 yards and maybe 1 or 2 passing touchdowns. So that's
Well, then I guess this is my time to hop into my top 5 bet of the week, and that's Joe Mixon over 76.5 rushing yards.
hell yeah.
In each of his 3 full games this season, Joe Mixon has over 100 rushing yards in each of those games. It's funny because all the flaws that we had about Mixon are still there. He's still out of 42 backs with 50 or more carries. Mixon is 40th in missed tackles forced per attempt because he's not elusive and not a tackle breaker. But he is 6th in yards before contact per attempt. He's getting 2.8 yards before contact every time he touches the ball. The Colts allow the 3rd most rushing yards to running backs, 125.1. The Colts right now are the league's biggest run funnel defense. So teams are at a negative 6.7 pass rate over expected when they face the Colts because you can run on them.
Yeah.
So in the 3 games where Mixon's been healthy, the Texans have averaged a minus 3.5 pass rate over expected. And they run at the 5th highest rate in the league when Mixon's healthy. Great matchup. A lot of opportunity. Joe Mixon, 76.5. I'm fucking in. All right.
And that was on DraftKings, right? Because FanDuel he's FanDuel 77.
Okay. Yeah, I got him on DK. I don't think it matters. I think there's a chance he goes for 100.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, I think he should.
All right. The last of our noon slate games. Baltimore going to Cleveland. Baltimore heavy favorites, road favorites, minus 380 on DraftKings. A Cleveland home wins plus 359 on ProfitX. Spread 8.5. Total 44.5. Waleed, what do you got?
So I'm not making any bets in this game, but I do like this game from a DFS standpoint. The players that I'm kind of targeting here, I like Mark Andrews, I like David Njoku, and I like Zay Flowers. I think all three of them have really solid matchups. I especially like David Njoku. I think David Njoku might be. I mean, in a week of tight ends, this might be a really good week for him. Do we know is Jameis playing?
He is.
He's officially
Yeah,
getting the
he's
start.
playing.
Okay,
Yep.
they don't have to worry about appeasing the bad man anymore.
Nope.
All right. Oh God, that makes me like. I don't know. Will Jameis throw to a tight end?
Yes.
Okay,
If he's 50 yards down the field.
that's what I'm wondering. Like, that's my concern.
I'm just kidding. I think he'll be plenty of opportunity for Njoku.
I think so too. I think this is going to be an interesting game. Mark Andrews has sneakily been like a lot more reliable the last few weeks, and Cleveland's given up 11.8 inline yards per target to inline routes over the last 4 weeks. But
Andrews has a touchdown in 3 weeks in a row, or only 2 weeks?
I think 3 weeks.
It is 3.
Yeah. So it's I mean, like, there's a lot of good DFS matchups, but there's nothing that I feel really confident in just betting the lines on, because I don't know, this game could be a shit show too.
Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm really confident in Baltimore just closing this out. They are on such a heater right now. One of my top 5 bets of the week right now is Baltimore minus 8.5. I'm kind of shocked that this game isn't more like the Detroit spread at 11.5. So I'm definitely exploiting this number at 8.5. They win by at least 2 touchdowns, I think. Over this whole season, road favorites 24-13 against the spread, and over the last 3 weeks 16-2 against the spread. So Baltimore minus 8.5, one of my top 5 bets this week.
Okay.
And what the hell, maybe the 2 or 3 Derrick Henry touchdowns.
I love it. One of our sneaky plays in our TH Fantasy Superflex build was Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Jameis is going to chuck it. And I want to point out what looks like a crazy misprice on BetMGM. And I'm actually going to vamp real quick while I pull up my BetMGM app.
Okay.
Because as you guys know, Baltimore, people just fucking chuck the ball on Baltimore. That's just what they do. And so Jameis is a lesser bad man than the bad man.
Yeah. He's not the baddest man, but he is a bad man.
Yeah, like I still don't want to they moved it up. Okay.
Would you rather bet his line of 40.5 or his reception at 2.5?
Who?
Tillman.
I think both are equally valid. But
Okay.
the thing I'm bringing up here is that you can get Jameis's passing yards at 234 right now.
You can get him at 225. Oh, it says 225 on BetMGM.
Yeah, and it's not that anymore because BetMGM's taking their time uploading changes. I don't mind taking the Jameis passing over because I think that they're going to be chucking the ball around and Jameis airs that shit out. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at for this game. But I think this is an easy Baltimore win. So
yeah, and I think that also goes well for the passing over for Jameis, because if they're behind, you're going to have to at least get like a bunch of underneath garbage time like yardage.
And Pro Bowl offensive lineman Wyatt Teller for Cleveland has been activated for this week. So a little bit of reinforcements coming their way. You got Nick Chubb, they're getting healthy. They're still shit, but like it's in a prettier toilet bowl. All right, so moving on. Buffalo going to Seattle, a 3 p.m. game. Buffalo road favorites minus 157 on ProfitX. A Seattle home upsets plus 140. Spread is 3. Line is 45. Ryan, start us off.
I don't have anything from this game. Honestly, this could be close. Seahawks actually might have a chance to cover, if not straight up win in this game.
What's DK's status going into this game? Does anybody know?
We're not sure. We're not sure yet. The Seahawks are 17-7 against the spread as home underdogs since 2011, and 4-3 against the spread with Geno Smith. So I'm gonna stay away from this game just because of the uncertainty of DK and the far travel for Buffalo. So yeah, I don't have anything really from this game.
Okay, Waleed.
I'm kind of intrigued at this Josh Allen. It says on FanDuel his passing line is 227 and a half. That seems incredibly low considering over the last 4 weeks Seattle's giving up over 9 yards per pass attempt to quarterbacks. But I think the real value here, and I think for this game, I'm going like pure. I think the plays here are DFS because James Cook and Kenneth Walker both have really tasty matchups, which is probably, excuse me, which is probably why I'm going to fade the Josh, like any kind of bets on Josh Allen's passing over, because this could very well be a James Cook day. It could be a Kenneth Walker day. JSN also has a really nice matchup in the slot. Over the last 4 weeks, Buffalo's given up over 10 yards per target to slot receivers. And if DK doesn't play, that helps JSN. But at the same time, like, I don't know, there's so many outcomes here that I kind of, I don't know. Ooh, good God. Kincaid, too, man. Like, Seattle since last year has been really bad against tight ends. So that Kincaid over might be a really interesting play. But I think all of these bets are they're better. Like I think that this game is better utilized towards DFS than it is for actual sports betting.
Okay. I have a couple things I want to point out. I don't like touching this game because Seattle has so much variance in terms of their game plan from week to week that it's
Yes.
really hard to tell what they're going to do next. Also want to point out it is going to be raining in Seattle. They will have been hit by two storms this weekend, and the second storm will come through that morning. The rain forecast is low 50s with rain forecasted throughout the game.
Okay.
That makes me like Cook and Walker a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe the run.
Yeah,
game,
but I don't. For me personally, I don't trust either of these offensive game plans. I've eaten shit on Seattle all year because every time something looks like a pattern, it just completely changes. So I am just so not worried about it.
No, that's the right attitude. If they're not gonna consistently exploit bad matchups, I don't like. I thought Grubb was good the first couple of weeks. I'm starting to wonder how good he actually is as a offensive coordinator.
We'll see. All right, let's move on. We got Saints going to the Chargers. Our boy Shane's going to be at that game. So he can nap there in person.
Right. Yeah, it's personal nap. I think they have nap suites.
should.
Upstairs. Yeah.
So Chargers heavy home favorites minus 310 on DK. Saints upset plus 281 on Profit X. Spread is 7. Lines 41.5. Ryan, what do you got? Ryan, what do you got?
Honestly, I have nothing from this game.
Okay, Wally, what do you got?
I don't have anything in this game, but the numbers I want to bring up, I think I'm going to leave to you because you're probably going to cover it with one of your top 5 bets of the week.
I intend to. So one of my top 5 bets of the week is J.K. Dobbins to hit his over at 76.5 rushing. He's had a rough go the last couple weeks. He's had 14 or more carries in each of his last 5 games. I think that this week is going to be a huge J.K. Dobbins week. Over the last 2 weeks, he's first among all running backs in carries with 39. And when you look at the Saints, who give up over 3 yards per carry before they contact the back, they allow a ridiculous 5.6 yards per carry to running backs.
I want to point out to you, over the last 4 weeks, that number's up to 5.8 yards.
Carry. They've allowed 146.7 rush yards per game. They have the lowest stuffed run rate in the league at a 32% clip. Also, they're second worst on zone and man gap runs. So it doesn't even matter what the scheme is. You're just getting fucking smoked. Also, if you run a man or gap run against the Saints, you get 6.2 yards per carry.
Okay.
So I think this is a J.K. Dobbins week. I think, according to fantasy points data, the Chargers offense has the second best defense adjusted yards before contact per carry matchup this week. So fire up your J.K. Dobbins. He had a bad matchup last week. I think he's still a guy that you play with confidence. I think he gets into the end zone. And as I mentioned, As I mentioned before we got on air, with Spencer Rattler at quarterback and a team that's beat to shit and reeling, Taysom Hill's coming back this week. I don't mind taking a Taysom Hill touchdown at some point somewhere.
Ooh.
Sure.
This just seems like a
Um,
Taysom bullshit game.
Here's
Can
what
I?
I say. Well, if you're going to take the one touchdown for Taysom, I say you always take the two because it feels like he gets his touchdowns in bunches.
Hope so.
I
What do
could
you
see
think?
the one. I could see
So
the one, but I want to give you a little bit of history. The Saints are okay with Derek Carr. He's obviously not playing again. So now they're really bad with Spencer Rattler. The Saints have not closed as a 7-point underdog since week 12 of 2022.
wow.
Yeah,
So,
they're bad.
So
yeah.
I want to point out, I'm going to tack on a little bit of something. Not only is J.K. Dobbins a great play from the sports betting line, I'm glad that Tony had this as one of his top 5 bets of the week because I had it earmarked. He's also my favorite running back in DFS this week because not only are the Saints bad against running, but receiving lines for running backs over the last 4 weeks, they're giving up over 12 yards per target to running backs. And J.K. Dobbins has been getting targets in the pass game. So that's another aspect of yardage that he's going to get. This matchup is by far the best for any running back this week.
I agree. All right, let's move this on and let's go on to a game that I'm sure we're all thrilled to talk about.
Oh my God, this is the game I've been waiting for.
Denver, Carolina. Carolina a Denver home win minus 535 on the money line. Carolina road upset under Bryce Young, plus 466. Spreads 10.5. Lines 41.5. Waleed, start us off.
Carolina is such a great matchup for quarterbacks and wide receivers, and I'm still not touching it because I watched Bo Nix miss 2 open guys on the same pass for a touchdown on Thursday night. No, thank you. Pass.
It actually takes skill to split two wide open guys like that.
Yeah.
This was also my secondary. This was my secondary diabetic coma nap game of the week. So I have nothing in this game either, but I will point out that this is Carolina's 28th game as an underdog. No team that's the longest streak right now since the Jaguars from the early aughts.
That second
they're bad.
rounder is looking real good.
Because they're bad. So I have one bet in this game. It didn't make any of my top fives, but it's in my Degenerates Gambit, which, by the way, like I said, I went 4-0 last week.
Okay.
I took the under at 41.5. I can't believe it's still at 41.5. You've got no Andy Dalton. You've got no Deontay Johnson. And I'm just assuming that Javonte is going to get 100 carries.
Yeah.
I love Javonte Williams in DFS.
Okay.
Carolina allows the most rushing yards per game and the most rushing touchdowns per game to running backs.
Yeah.
We watched Denver just completely rock New Orleans to sleep last week through the run game, and I think they do it again this week. I don't really care much for any of the passing numbers, but I do like Javonte. If you're feeling frisky, I would hang some money on his rushing lines.
That makes a lot of sense.
I can also go ahead, Waleed.
I was gonna say if I have a good morning, I was planning on Javonte rushing over.
They have the FanDuel, the Gronk touchdown spike boost. I think Javonte is going to be in my parlay for that one.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. So
make sure you share that with me because I'm going to tail you on that touchdown parlay for
because it
Gronk.
hit last week, baby.
Yes, it did.
Saquon, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, or Saquon, Derrick Henry, someone else. It hit. So, all right. So we're moving on. KC going to the Raiders. KC road favorites minus 425. Raiders home dogs plus 398. Spreads 9.5. Point total is 42 even. I did want to point out really quick. I saw a good theory. Raiders fans, they have no actual fans in Las Vegas. The only reason there's a team in Las Vegas is so that the city can make money from fans of other teams coming in for the weekend. With that,
Right.
Ryan, start us off.
I know you guys have a lot with this. I like Brock Bowers this week. And sneakily, since the Raiders did move to Vegas, they're surprisingly 3-1 against the spread at home against the Chiefs. So that 9.5 spread, I'd be hesitant to bet. I still think the Chiefs win. It just might be closer than you think. But I know you guys got a lot to talk about Brock Bowers, so go ahead.
Waleed, go ahead, baby.
So I'm just going to throw out that KC is giving up 9.1 yards per target to tight ends, and over the last 4 weeks, to receivers in the slot, they're giving up 10.2. Both of these are Brock Bowers routes or positions. So I'm gonna bring it to Tony.
All right. Tony's got a lot of shit to say about Brock Bowers. Over at 58.5 on Caesars is one of my top 5 bets of the week. Brock Bowers. Um, yeah, he's good, folks. In his last 3 games without Devontae Adams, his target shares 33%, 27%, 40%. Um, the Chiefs play cover 2, or they play 2 high shells on 65% of their snaps. Against 2 high shells, Brock Bowers, 3.24 yards per route run. Players that had 3 or more yards per route run against 2 high last year were Tyreek Hill and Puka Nakua, and that's it.
Good
Wow.
God, that's good company.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I'm a little bit nervous about the Brock Bowers. I'm going to bet the over, but there's a part of me that remembers like how they handle Mark Andrews, uh, the Chiefs
Sure.
and defense, and I worry that's what's going to end up happening is Bowers is just going to end up getting bracketed, and I'm just hoping Minshew just says fucking still throws into tight
He
coverage.
probably will. This is one of the riskiest plays of the week, but it's
Yeah.
still it's tight end week, baby.
And
Right.
here's the fact of the matter is like by my usage metrics, Brock Bowers is by far the clear tight end 1 based on matchup of what the other team is giving up to tight ends and his own usage. So
I love you,
like
Waleed, but I did not need metrics to know that Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football.
I agree.
That's
No,
right.
you don't.
So I did want to point out really quick, the Chiefs allow the most receiving yards per game to tight ends and the most receptions to tight ends. So I think that the stars are aligning. It's tough because it's a Steve Spagnuolo defense.
Yeah.
I have no real interest in playing DeAndre Hopkins or anything like that. I like Ryan's talk about the spread. Last year, the whole country was shocked when the Raiders beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say this
Twice,
though,
right?
right?
Right.
And so the last year, I don't know if you guys remember, Antonio Pierce had said online somewhere at a podcast that they were going to do the Jordan rules on Patrick Mahomes this year and try to always make contact, get in his head, fuck with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it just so happens that the ref that was assigned to this game is the ref that calls the most roughing the passer penalties in the league.
Really? Wow.
Go football. Hooray. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the game that was flexed. Bears going to Washington to play the Commies. Bears are road favorites, minus 142 on DK. A Washington home wins plus 135 on BetMGM. Line is 3, spreads 43.5. Waleed?
I can't get over my homerism. I'm not gonna try. One of my top 5 bets of the week, we're taking Caleb Williams over 227 and a half passing yards on FanDuel at minus 113. Look, Washington's pass defense is not that good. They've had like Washington's defense is a paper tiger with how their wins it. They've been efficient on offense, but on defense, you can throw on them. And Caleb has only been getting better. And Eberflus is pretty good on a bye week, like in his career. So I feel like this is a solid matchup. The other thing that I think is worth noting, I kind of like DeAndre Swift in DFS. Washington's run defense
Sure.
real bad, and DeAndre Swift over the last month has been really good. I also
Yeah.
think, I like Caleb. I like DeAndre Swift. I think I like Swift more in DFS, but I also got to point out I did the my parlay with Baker for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns hit last week, so I decided to do that with Caleb this week because I'm getting
Okay.
good odds and I'm using a free bet, and I want to try to like use those free bets to like get a big payout, but I didn't want too many outcomes. So
Sure.
that parlay over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, the odds are plus 1228. So it pays
Damn.
my $10 free bet pays out 122 and 86 cents,
Yep.
which I feel pretty good about. It's also my millionaire bet at plus 550 Caleb to have 300 yards because you know what? I'm just going to stick with the bit.
Yeah.
Whatever feels good, baby. Ryan, what do you got?
I really like this game too, and I really like Swift this week as well. If you look at the last 3 games that Swift has been involved in, let's see. This is just ground numbers: 91 yards against the Jaguars, 73 yards against Carolina, 93 yards against the Rams. It the last 3 weeks, it seems like the Bears have figured out that, oh my God, we have a decent running back. Maybe we should just use him. So
They're
I'm
all
exploit
getting cute running the ball.
right. So I'm exploiting that this week, and I feel like DeAndre Swift's line of 59.5 on FanDuel is really low, and that is going to be one of my top 5 bets of the week. Um, from this game, I also the Bears are just balling right now, and I think this is the team that they can ball out against. Do we know whether or not Jaden Daniels is playing?
Nope.
I
We
don't.
know.
I don't.
He
I
is.
don't. I don't think it matters if he plays because it my parlay will probably work out better if he does play because Bears might not be up the entire game and it might be actually closer. So my same game parlay this week, I took the adjusted line of Caleb going just over 200
Love it.
in hopes that if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, maybe he doesn't have to pass that much. I still think he should easily get 200 yards. I put DeAndre Swift's rushing over 59.5. I gave 2.5 receptions to Romo Dunze. I think this potentially could be a Romo Dunze week. And Komet is just having a year right now after his 70-yard 2 touchdown performance last week. His over receiving 36.5 seems pretty low. He's even really cheap still on DFS. He's only 5,400 on FanDuel pricing.
Really?
Yeah. So at plus 657, I put 5 units down to win almost 38.
There you go.
Okay.
I like Cole Kmet a lot this week. I like DeAndre Swift a lot this week. I like Brian Robinson a lot this week. And I like the Bears win. As my tattoo artist said to me yesterday as I was leaving, Bears by 100.
Nice.
Love it. Love it.
All
You should
right.
just get that tattoo.
Bears by
Bears by
100.
100. Yeah.
All right, so our last game of the Sunday slate, Dallas going to San Francisco. San Francisco's serious home favorites, minus 204. The Dallas money line is plus 194. Spread is 4. Total is 47. My first question to you guys are, since the Yankees are in the World Series, are Dallas fans even going to be around to watch this game?
I don't know, man. I don't
That's
know.
crazy.
And I don't have personally any bets from this game either, but if Dallas gets blown out, Mike McCarthy doesn't have a job Monday.
I hope so. Also, we got to remember for the Cowboys fans, the Lakers are playing too. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. All right.
How do you pick?
yeah, how do you pick between the Lakers, the Yankees, and your beloved Cowboys? All right, Wally, you got anything?
So I think the only thing that really stands out to me in this game, I like Debo actually. Is he healthy?
They haven't made a determination either way.
He's still listed as questionable. I think it actually might be more of a Juwan Jennings week, but
Well, that's what I think. I think if Debo isn't healthy,
Jennings is
Juwan
out
Jennings-
this week.
Yep.
he
Good
is.
God.
Yes.
You know what? I
Sure.
take it back because this is a good matchup for Brock Purdy, but with all the injuries, I think I'm just going to fade this game completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Sunday Night Football. The under's gonna hit probably.
Oh,
Well,
you know
my
what?
friends-
Going to bet the under because you have been right all this time.
Well,
47.5. That seems high. Let's get
I'm
that on.
going to tell you my last remaining top 5 bet of the week. It is tight end week, boys, and you know who started
Hell
tight
yeah.
end week? George Kittle.
Okay.
That's right.
So I also want to point out that since 2021, there's been 7 games without either Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel, and in those games, George Kittle averages 107 receiving yards a game.
Damn.
Okay. Not only am I going to tail your bet, I'm going to throw out a $5 George Kittle 100 yards receiving because
So in 4 of 6 games this year, he's gone over 58 yards, which would clear the line easily. He's had 40 or more yards in every game. I think you get the boost without Ayuk. Debo's beaten up. Jordan Mason's beaten up. George Kittle is beaten up, but he's the only guy they have left in this game.
Right. I will
So-
point out too. Right now, he's still listed questionable. There are no lines for any 49ers players for receiving right now.
Damn, because I got Kittle at 54.5. So
Oh,
yeah.
at least I'm looking on FanDuel. There's only lines for Dallas players.
So I can tell you right now, you're right. It's not on FanDuel, but 54.5 on BetMGM and Caesars, 55.5 on DK.
Yep. All right, so let's wrap this mega slate up. We got the Giants going to Pittsburgh on Monday night. Ryan will be asleep early. I'll be asleep early.
That is
Pittsburgh
correct.
minus 238 at home. Straight up, Giants plus 225 on the money line. Spreads 5.5. Totals 36.5. Waleed, you got anything?
I'll tell you what, George Pickens has a pretty nice matchup here. Giants giving up 9.3 yards to wide receivers lined up wide over the last 4 weeks. Over the last 4 weeks, you're giving up 10.3 yards to receivers out wide. Like you can throw to the boundaries against the Giants. So I'll take George Pickens here, especially considering his line is 57.5 on BetMGM. That's a decent line for that. And he
There
had
you
a
go.
pretty good game with Russ last week, so I think it's a good matchup. I also think Najee has a really, really nice matchup against this Giants run defense that's given up 5.3 yards per carry on the season and over the last 4 weeks.
See, now I'm hoping for a bad Najee week because I'm trying to trade for him in all of my redraft leagues.
Okay.
Let me just point something out really quick. So far this season, in games where Justin Fields has started, Najee Harris ran against a heavy defensive box on 20% of his touches.
Yeah.
Last week against the Jets with Russell Wilson at QB, 5%.
Yeah. And it showed because he went off.
Yes. Last week, though, was the first time all season where we had a 50-50 Najee Harris, Jalen Warren timeshare.
Hmm.
I don't expect that to continue. I think as the weather gets colder, you see more Najee. And if Russ opens up this offense, Najee could be a league winner.
Yeah.
All right,
I
so
think that's I think that's
Um,
true.
I will be betting the under on this snooze fest of a game. I think it could actually be closer, guys. A close game, maybe like 17-14 or something like that. The Steelers are 0-9 against the spread in their last 9 games, where they're laying at least 4 points, and the spread's 5.5. So this game could be super under, super close.
well, I hope those numbers take into account that the Giants don't have an offensive line anymore.
They do not.
All right, so as last week's champion, I'm going to read my top five bets of the week off first. Joe Mixon over 76.5 rushing. J.K. Dobbins over 76.5 rushing. Brock Bowers over 58.5 receiving. George Kittle over 54.5 receiving. Evan Ingram over 4.5 receptions. Ryan is the one with the best total of the season. You go next.
All right, so my top 5 bets this week are Brees Hall anytime touchdown, BTJ's over at 57.5 receiving yards, Baltimore minus 8.5, Kate Otton's over 45.5 yards, and DeAndre Swift's over 59.5 rushing yards.
Okay, Waleed.
My top five bets of the week, I got Jordan Love at over 257.5 passing yards on Bet Rivers. Tyreek Hill over 82.5 receiving yards on FanDuel. Kyle Pitts over 41.5 receiving yards on DraftKings. I have Stephon Diggs over 59.5 receiving yards on DraftKings. And Caleb Williams over 227.5 passing yards on FanDuel.
Waleed, since you're the parlay king, why don't you just keep us going?
All right, so I got two parlays here. My Kyle Pitts, I'm going to do Kyle Pitts over on receiving, receptions, and a touchdown. I haven't found the best odds yet, so I don't have what the numbers are, but just take those three, roll with it. This is going to be a Kyle Pitts week. It's one of my favorite plays of the week. My big parlay where I'm going to I like to use my $10 token to get some crazy odds, but I only have a two-legger for this, which is Caleb over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Pays 12.28. So my $10 free bet will pay out $122.86.
Okay, Ryan, your parlays.
My parlays this week, my money line parlay is a 5 leg this week, but I think it's got a good chance to hit. I got Baltimore, Houston, Detroit, Cincy, and Chicago. I put 10 units down that at plus 458 to win a little bit over 55. And then, as I said, from the Bears game, I did Caleb Williams over his adjusted line 200 plus passing yards. Swift's over 59.5 rushing. Odunze's over 2.5 receptions. Cole Kmet's over 36.5 receiving. 5 units down at plus 657 wins almost 38.
Okay, my money line parlay: Green Bay, Baltimore, Detroit. Got it at plus 109. $10 down will get me about 21 back. My same game parlay adjusted Tua over 240 yards passing, Tyreek over 65 receiving, and the Miami money line. I got it at plus 199. $10 will get me about 30 back. Since I am the
Nice.
reigning champ and the commissar of the Democratic People's Republic of Gambletown, I'm going to go first. I'm rolling my $62.10 into an AJ Brown receiving over at 73.5 at minus 117. That would bring me back 115 and 18 cents. Waleed?
I got Caleb at over 300 yards passing at plus 550, which will pay out a $10 bet will pay me $65.
Okay. Ryan?
I am just rolling with a measly K dot and touchdown this week, plus 210, to get me back to start a new streak to get me $31.
Okay, wonderful. Let's start talking DFS, boys. We are going to do what we usually do, where Ryan is on FanDuel, Waleed and I are on DraftKings. Ryan, why don't you got your stuff pulled up, or do you want to go last?
What for quarterback? I can go first.
Yeah.
For quarterback this week, I think who has the most chance for passing yards with Jamar Chase is Joe Burrow. So I'm going to roll with Joe Burrow.
Love it. Waleed?
So my QB1, this is paying up for it on DraftKings 7,100. But Jordan Love, I told you, was my favorite quarterback of the week. I think he's going to destroy Jacksonville, and I want all the shares of that. It's the
Okay.
best fantasy matchup.
I am going for cheap points here, and I'm going to take Jameis Winston as my quarterback one.
Ooh.
I am also going for cheap points here. That's right. It's producer Josh, everybody. And I'm going Drake May as my QB1 this week.
I like it.
Oh, I love it. 5,500 on DraftKings against the Jets. Especially if the Jets take a lead, he can get some garbage time points. Last 2 weeks, Drake May has been a top 10 quarterback in fantasy, and you're getting him at a discounted price.
Sure has. Ryan, your running back play of the week.
It's a toss up for me right now. These guys are only $200 in salary apart, and surprisingly, this guy is $200 cheaper than another guy that I want to have in another one. But I'm gonna roll with Brees Hall and see if you guys say this other one. I'll wait for you guys to finish.
Waleed?
I feel like Tony's going to go with this guy. Oh, you know what? He might not.
No,
I'm
take
just
your
going to
guy.
say, I'm going to
Take
take
your
my guy. This is the best running back of the week, in my opinion, from a matchup standpoint. I'm taking J.K. Dobbins at 6,900.
Okay.
And I want to go. I wanted to go another round of running backs because there's so many to choose from. You said it was a DFS week.
Yes.
We can do our top two. Keep going.
Oh.
Because I got another one too.
Go, Tony.
Oh, I will. You guys are champing at the bit. I might just take my time on this one.
Oh,
I am paying up on this one, and I'm going to go with Joe Mixon.
love it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I realized you were going to do.
Right.
Josh?
My favorite running back out of the ones that I have selected is David Montgomery this week.
Nice.
Love it. I think it's a solid choice.
I agree. Ryan, who was your second?
Ryan, who's your number 2 guy?
Surprisingly, this guy is $200 more than Brees Hall, and only just got to start the last 2 weeks. Kareem Hunt for Kansas City against a horrible Raiders run defense.
I want to point out on DraftKings, because he was the guy I was looking at as my next guy to talk about. But I have a different guy too. 6,300 on DraftKings. He's actually 100 cheaper than Montgomery. Like he's way low playing against the Raiders. Like 6,300 on DraftKings. Kareem Hunt is a steal. The way he's been used since he came back.
In FanDuel scoring, he's averaging over 21 points the last 2 weeks.
So since you already did the Kareem Hunt, I'm going to point out DeAndre Swift against Washington is a really nice play at 6,200 on DraftKings.
Okay.
Sure.
So then, Ryan, who's your wide receiver?
You don't have a second running back for us, Tony?
No, I got tons. I would go with Achane most likely as my second.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pay up at receiver this week to go with Burrow and go with Chase. I know he's the most, but there's a cheat code we'll get to at tight end that'll help you put this guy and get you all the high salary players you want.
Okay. Waleed?
Tyreek Hill at 7,000 is too cheap. Like
That's true.
wide receiver of the week. I am smashing this.
Wait, Waleed, when we're done, we'll tell you our TH fantasy lineup, and you're gonna crap yourself.
For Superflex?
Yeah, for Superflex.
I already got it. I already
okay.
entered it. Yeah. Tony got me taken care of, and I
Okay.
loved it.
All right, Josh, your wide receiver.
So my wide receiver, obviously, I'm going with Tyreek Hill at 7,000, but I'm also going with Drake London.
Yes. Hell yeah, I like London this week.
Hell yeah, it's a really good matchup.
Okay. Mine is going to be AJ Brown, folks.
Well,
That's right.
I did not see that coming at all, Tony. Like, do you
could've.
like AJ Brown?
Who could have?
Yeah.
All right. So then, Ryan, your tight end play of the week.
My tight end play of the week. This is not the cheat code we were talking about, but since he is my mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week, at 5,200 on FanDuel, I'm going with Kate Otten, 100 yards and a touchdown this week, guys.
Why don't you tell us about that cheat code real quick?
So I don't know what's going on with FanDuel's salary. I don't know if an intern got fired or something, but
They're
Dalton-
about to be.
Dalton Kincaid is the minimum salary at $4,000 on FanDuel's pricing. I don't know why that is. I mean, he's like the number 2 target in Buffalo's defense. His lines on FanDuel are 4.5 receptions and over 40 yards. So what the hell is going on with that?
Yeah, he should not be that cheap. I want to point out on DraftKings, Kate Otten only 3,500. He is
Not
really
bad.
cheap.
All right.
Oh,
Wally,
it's even on DraftKings. That's weird too.
So
No,
who's your
that was
tight end,
Kate Otten.
Wally?
I was talking about Kate Otten.
Oh, Otten. What
Yeah,
did you guys?
Kincaid is 4,900 on DraftKings.
Okay.
No one should ever be more expensive on DraftKings than on FanDuel.
Right,
That's
right,
how
right.
the pricing works.
Yeah, someone's getting fired this week, guys.
Wally, your
So
tight
my
end.
tight end, my tight end, Kyle Pitts is way too cheap on DraftKings. He's like tight end 11 or 12 at 4,400. That is a smash.
Okay. Josh, your tight end.
So I have a sneaking suspicion that even though it is tight end week, it is not going to be a Kelsey week. It's going to be a Noah Gray week.
What?
Oh,
Dude, I
gunning-
love
he's
this.
gunning-
I love this.
He's gunning for you, Ryan. He's trying to be the new tight end
Oh
whisperer.
shit. Well, it is tight end week. I'll allow it.
It is tight end week. Noah Gray at 3,000.
Dude, Josh, I love it.
Yep.
And then my tight end play is Taysom Hill.
Oh, love
Nice.
Ryan, your defense.
All right. If Jaden Daniels isn't playing, I'm rolling with the Bears. Otherwise, I'm going Broncos. I'm going chalk.
Okay. Waleed.
You know what? I would be rolling with the Bears whether he's playing or not. And
Okay.
on DraftKings, it's the best cheap defense I can get. So I'm going Bears too here.
Okay. Josh.
I'm in Ryan's head this week, guys, because I too was going to go Bears or float the Broncos, depending on Jaden Daniels' status. So.
Okay. And I'm going to go with one of the cheapest defenses on the slate. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers.
What?
There's a chance that we see a Bo Nix interception. And even though I think they lose the game with a total of 41.5, I think it's going to be low scoring either way. So I'll pay down, give me my 4 points, and let's move on.
Yeah, I think that's a sneaky smart play there. I like
Save
it.
your money. All right, so that's it, guys.
Well, if I could talk about one more player that I've been kind of noticing that
Go ahead,
no
and
one's
then
kind of
Vampire.
talking about, it's Rashad Bateman from Baltimore.
He killed me in fantasy last week.
I meant to bring this up during the Baltimore section.
He's kind of been a little sneaky, guys.
He's been good over the last few weeks. Hold on, let me pull this up here because I had it on one of my tabs. Bateman over the last 3 weeks, 121 yards, 71 yards, 58 yards, 2 touchdowns in that span.
Right.
I was in my big money league with Tony. I was up 62 points going into that game, and the guy I was going up against had Lamar and Rashad Bateman. And
Oh
I
my
lost.
God.
I lost by 5 points.
Jeez. Yeah. So for 4,300, this is a pretty good pickup.
Yeah, that could be sneaky value. You're right.
So
I don't know if his usage gets as well this week because I think it's going to be a Baltimore blowout. But
Well, but I as a Zay Flowers owner though, I do think that Zay Flowers might be on a snap count uh, this week.
oh, really? Is that what they're saying?
Well, he's questionable, so who knows
Okay.
what that means. But
Okay.
um,
Well, so that's us, baby. This is what we
Yeah.
got going on this week. Big wins for everybody. Let's make some money. And
Oh yeah.
this is Football Absurdity on YouTube. You can see the starter sit show with Jeff and Evan tomorrow, 90 minutes before the opening slate. Waleed, you run the waiver wires and the streaming defenses articles on footballabsurdity.com. I write the Degenerates Gambit, which we look at betting lines each week on footballabsurdity.com. Ryan and myself do the TH Fantasy podcast with our friend Shane that you can find on all streaming services.
new episode
Josh-
dropping soon.
Yeah, new episode should be already posted. Josh super produces for Thursday Night Farce Ball, which Waleed and I are on. Ryan's moderating the chat more or less. And we're all over the place. It's week 8. We're about halfway done with the season. Next time we see you, it'll be our first
Time
midway
flies
point.
when you're losing money.
Story of my life. That's why it feels like I was just born. So we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully you follow all the right bets, and we all cash huge, and life is good.